Hi Aries, this is your October 2024 soul story. If you've got sun, rising or moon in the sign, this is your reading. It's Romy here. Thanks so much for joining me on the channel. Really appreciate you. We're going to open up this month with the energy of the Nine of Staffs, the Nine of Wands. Gosh, you've changed so much, right? But it's also taken a lot from you. There's so many like new standards that you're setting for yourself now emerging. And I think you need to be reminded at this point as well that even in the breaking, you are still whole Aries. And, you know, as you're going through this real transformative time in your life, you're observing yourself very differently. Are there ongoing slip-ups and kind of taking a step what feels like backwards? Yes, but actually the shift that's happened has been so powerful, and I think October is a very sort of culminating time where you really get to see actually how far you've come, how much has changed. And there's an incredibly compelling energy about this month that is really wanting to resolve anything that is not in balance. Now, we are opening up with a super powerful new moon eclipse in Libra on the 2nd. And, you know, that cosmic conversation is ruffling some feathers for sure, but it's also kind of poignant in the fact that you're like, I almost knew this was coming. I expected this. In some aspects, maybe I needed this. You know, we have Black Moon Lilith, asteroid goddess in Libra, really powerfully activated at this new moon eclipse. And so she's calling us out. Yeah, she's calling us out. And you might surprise yourself in terms of some of the ways that you respond or you're leaning into things. The more that you can acknowledge what it is that you're feeling and then try and trace it back. Where is this coming from? What is it trying to show me? What do I want to do with this information? You know, before perhaps you try to engage or just project, which is often what happens when we're feeling those very primal urges and responses to express ourselves in a certain way, particularly if it's coming from the wound. But the thing that Lilith is also doing, right, you know, when she asks us to face into the shadow, and remember Libra is that sort of shadow season for you, 7th house, it's often an invitation to look at what is disowned within the self, but you know, it's also the direct route to becoming more powerful, more empowered by kind of stepping up and, you know, owning something. And there's so much inner work that has, you know, already taken place. I think that you're so close to this extraordinary breakthrough in your life, both personally but also just in the way that it directly impacts the relationships around you. And I think that's something, you know, I don't say lightly because it really comes through as a sort of lightning bolt energy. I want to call out at this point that we have some really fortuitous dates in the first part of October with Venus, because she's trining with Saturn on the 4th, with Mars on the 8th, and with Neptune on the 15th. And the reason I say that is because this month is definitely a powerful, compelling, at times incredibly intense experience. And so to utilize these times to sort of create conditions that you might need to deal with things or face things or, you know, get yourself in the zone, you know, is just going to make perhaps something feel a little bit less hard work, and, you know, perhaps bring about some positive influences. We've got the 8 of coins here. Like, this is the mastery. Like, this is you having kind of diligently continued to invest and show up, not just for yourself, but also with something really important in your world. And like I said, I think October's bringing something to fruition or to a point that you get some incredible validation around it. I think you've needed that. I want to say don't be hard on yourself. When I'm feeling into the energy of these two cards already coming through, I'm just like, gosh, you're entering into this month with like a pressure or an expectation that you've set yourself. And I think you just need to kind of take a beat and actually just realize like you've already done so much that just feels important to say. And also perhaps you don't have to do it alone. Like, I feel like you're so focused and maybe in the zone with something or feeling it's necessary to prove something to yourself, not really about other people. But I think there are those waiting in the wings that can actually be a supportive, helpful guide, or, you know, on a more practical level, just kind of take some of that weight that you might be feeling on your shoulders. So make sure you look up every now and again to actually see who's here, who's listening, who's kind of got their hand up saying, hey, I'm here, I can help, right? I think that's an important thing to remember. And especially through Libra energy, you know, that seventh house will often bring about, you know, quite a lot of shifts and changes in the people in your realm, in your world, right? So relationships can transform, people leaving, but a lot of new connections and new people showing up. And so it's also a time to make sure you're manifesting toward the type of connections that you need right now. Is it more friendship, more community? Is it better professional contacts? Is it clients? Is it, you know, help at home, family, you know, whoever or whatever it is that you feel like is scarce or you're lacking? Like, use this opportunity to kind of get very intentional about that and watch how things shift and change. Now, Jupiter is going retrograde in Gemini on the 9th of the month, and, you know, here's an invitation, I suppose, to just kind of stop and reflect back over like some of the opportunities and the way that we've been disseminating information. And, you know, perhaps it had been moving at lightning speed. There's already this sense of like time having gone into like absolute warp energy, right? So, you know, it's just a moment to kind of think, okay, all of these things have shifted in my outer world. Have I expanded, and am I in a place where I feel like I've grown into it, or is there more for me to do within myself so that I'm not going to end up, and hear me when I say this, sabotaging things that have either already shown up or are set to come in. So it's a really important cycle in this next few months with Jupiter, because you'll start to see a lot of silver linings. There will definitely be some things that you need to address by way of your own limiting beliefs. What am I doing that's preventing this expansion taking place, or that's stopping me from saying yes to the things that I actually want, right? Time is a gift, you know, how are we using it? Now we've got the Emperor coming in here. Cardinal energy also strongly connects into your sign, so I really love him showing up. I feel there's a tremendous sort of capability and confidence that he's bringing to your reading in October. And so where you apply, and I would pay special attention around the 8th, you know, especially when Venus is trining with Mars, I think you can have a very mature, progressive, important conversation or interaction, perhaps with somebody where there's maybe a lot at stake, a lot to be discussed, and maybe things that, you know, would have a huge impact if there was changes and adjustments agreed upon and committed to. All of that feels dependent on creating a different type of strategy or plan that needs to be implemented, and it also feels very much connected to how much you believe in yourself and how you can see yourself in that new reality. That's what I mean about saying, like, we don't want to sabotage things because we're doing all of the work, we're setting everything up, we're creating everything, and then, you know, we're the one thing that we sort of neglect, you know, to put in the picture or to see ourselves in the right version of who we need to be to really receive all of that energy coming in, okay? So I think it's an important milestone also coming through, and you might want to reflect back to that new moon in your sign earlier this year and sort of, you know, that powerful eclipse that took place, because it was, I think, earth-shattering really in terms of what it showed you or what you were coming to terms with, and, you know, something now landing in October that is very meaningful and personal to you. Pluto, of course, moving direct in Capricorn, so that transformative energy always sort of feels like it's opening a window, and, you know, we sort of look out and we see things differently, and we're preparing, of course, over the next few weeks to say goodbye to that energetic frequency. And so there's a lot of like consideration of lessons learned and kind of really thinking, okay, like, I'm not going back to that. I've really done, you know, my time in that way. Seven of Coins here, there's the deliberation, the consideration, what you've invested in, what it's yielded for you. And I think there's a lot of that going on because that's what's necessary necessary, especially in October, to kind of reevaluate, okay, do I want to keep doing this? Is it worth me still continuing to invest in this relationship, in this job, in this energy, you know, whatever that commitment has been for you, you know, what you've put in versus what has come back around to you. And it's not just in terms of like, you know, the material kind of tangible things. It's also about, you know, how it's shaped you, how it's changed you. If you can take a moment to actually realize the gift in that, you might look at it slightly differently. You know, what we don't want is you to in any way sort of come away from something feeling a sense of resentment. I think the other thing that is really important and pivotal for you in this month of October is to, like, literally on a daily basis be bringing in forgiveness. And it's forgiveness for the self, right? Because that's what's going to be so transformative for you, you know. So before you go to bed every night, just reflect back on the day. It's just like, okay, what do I need to stop being so hard on myself over? What do I need to forgive today? You know, maybe it's just the most simplest of things. I didn't hydrate myself enough, or I didn't speak up in that meeting, or, you know, I didn't take the time to properly, you know, give myself a rest or a break. But the more you can acknowledge the behaviors that you're doing to sabotage things and forgive them instantaneously, the less you're going to start to kind of suppress and hold on to that energy and let it become stagnant and eventually shift itself into some sort of block. Okay, that feels like a message you really need to hear, and I want you to remember through this month of October. Now, Mercury moves into Scorpio on the 13th, and I like this because I feel here we can become very intentional, incredibly focused. You know, what we have to say can be very compelling. There's a sort of charisma and an attraction that you can draw people in. You've got a huge amount of creativity working with you with the Empress, and, you know, just this position of power if you use it well. I mean, Empress and Emperor, there might be something going on either perhaps in your relationships with parents, partnerships, husband and wife, or your significant other. It also indicates for me there's a possibility, especially with 7th house, of having quite a dynamic duo, like coming into, you know, meet your equal with regards to someone or something, and that can be very significant. I think the 8 of coins does indicate, along with the 7, that potentially something has felt like hard work. There's been a huge amount of investment, a long road travelled or journey taken in regards to something, and again, this is a time to just stop and say, okay, are we still moving in the right direction? Does this still make sense? But Mercury in Scorpio gets very forensic-like in terms of how it wants to probe into things. And, you know, this is definitely a month where you want to say what you mean. Direct is best, okay? You know, as we said, even in the breaking, you are still whole. And so even if there are going to be some difficult or tough conversations that need to happen, ultimately what you're trying to do here, remember, is resolve anything that is not in balance. So it's, you know, a moment in time where you find the courage, you know, to have the hard interactions and exchanges, and then it feels to me what comes from that can really clear the air. Now, I think there might be some trust things going on here, or just a general weariness as to sort of repetitively coming up against something. Nonetheless, I think you're getting a power surge as we approach that full moon in your sign on the 17th, right? We've also got Venus the same day moving in Sagittarius, more fire energy kind of working in your favor. It's coming in at 24 degrees, that full moon. And I just have this sense with you, we've got strength coming in. Like, you just, whatever it is, whatever it takes, you're there and you're doing it, and you're just like kind of taking control and stepping up, and just in this equal sense of like allowing something to happen, allowing something to come in or to end or to release. Remember, that full moon's going to bring a revelation that you know, is asking you and inviting you to let go of something, but at the same time you're also claiming or reclaiming or, you know, advocating for something for yourself, and that's huge. It feels really liberating. It feels very charged in terms of like giving you a confidence boost that you need. And, you know, as we then make our way into Scorpio season, of course that 8th house is now activated for you, And again, in this moment, like you're wanting to commit, you're wanting to devote your time, energy, and attention, but there's a deep awareness, like something's got to give. Like this isn't going to work unless that transforms or that that releases. And so there's big conversations like happening at the end of October. And I think be reminded, of course, that the veil is at its thinnest this time of year, when we're approaching Samhain, Halloween. And, that can be powerful because we can get more direct downloads and commune with our, our soul family and spirit more easily. But it also means when we're open and we haven't taken care of our energy field, that we can pick up all sorts of unwanted attachments. And you have to be super mindful in the work that you're doing and your spiritual practices at this time of year. Especially, I think all the time now, because of the way the energy is working, but particular emphasis around October. Okay, so just be mindful of that. Vesta's in Libra from the 26th. Remember, asteroid goddess, the custodian of that sacred inner flame. And there's something here that is talking to you about, how do I find, and this is a bigger soul story, right, between the north and the south node, but how do I find a way to maintain my sense of self, right, but still be a part of something that deeply is supportive of the desires that I have, and yes, maybe it's another person, but it also, it could be anything. It could be, how can I maintain my sense of self and thrive in this job or be a part of this family dynamic, or, she's really helping you around this time. It's coming in around the 26th. So, I think the rituals, the mindfulness, the journaling of the important questions to yourself, huge amount around the forgiveness piece, and just being very aware of how other people are responding to you through the course of this month is also going to show you a lot. But remember what we said, Lilith is calling us out, right? So there are some kind of, what I would say, like ouchy moments that seem to sort of come up through October, where you're kind of looking at your own behavior and you're going, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. And, that's okay, as long as you can see it and you can just take a moment and, maybe there's an apology, or maybe there's just a deep self-awareness to kind of think, all right, like I'm gonna be different. I want to do it differently moving forward. And that's everything. That's the growth, right? I think October has a lot to deliver for you. There's quite a grounded, solid, very empowered energy that you can work with. But I think it's asking quite a lot of you in terms of like the focus that you need to hold. And I think that can be something that's quite tough, especially if you've been through a huge amount up to this point. That's where the strength needs to come through and just kind of give you the reminder that you have what you need. And we need to kind of maybe dig a little bit deeper to find the resolve at times through the month. But overall, I feel it's like this huge wave that you're, being kind of invited to ride, rather than feeling like you're being pulled under. But there are times where you're feeling like, I've lost my balance. You won't. I think a lot can work for you. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you. That's the phrase to sort of be reminded of, right? If you're new to the channel, our last 3 cards we're going to look at in the extended reading, Aries. We talk for another 30 minutes. We'll look at a personal card and a relationship card for you as well. The investment is super supportive to help me keep showing up to do the free readings. So I really value and appreciate those of you that are in position to join me and that are resonating with the reading. I'm going to go ahead and clarify the cards and see the direction we're going to take that reading for you. So 9 of Staffs, 10 of Cups, 4 of Swords. Now I have my new journal coming out. So this is like the kind of completion of my trilogy of my Life Soul Vision Oracle, my book, my musings. So the new journal, I'm so excited. It's coming in November. You can pre-order right now and get some really good offers. Okay, so check it out over on my website at romywiser.com. It's going to be unlike anything you've come across before. It's totally going to work in complementary to existing planners and diaries and journals that you might have. This is like more like a soul Bible. It's sort of holding like all this rich information that you've gleaned and experienced in your path, and something to just return to time and time again when you just need the reminders, you need the support, you need the companion and the guide. Like this is it. And beautifully full color, really nice thick pages to write on, and yeah, I think you're going to love it. So take a moment to go and check it out if you haven't already. Okay, what is strength bringing us? We've got some strong majors coming through here. All the decks are always listed below. And of course, over on the website, you're going to find ways to work with me. Anything that's coming up by way of new offers. So please just keep an eye out over there. I'm just going to use Life Soul Vision Oracle now, which is of course my own deck. Let's see what we've got. Sacral Energy, Creative Charge. We've got Nourish Your Inner Wealth. We have The Gathering, Blossoming Soul Song, Spirit Line, Spiritual Strength. Second message of that coming through for you. The Sun, Charged in Light. I love these cards for you this month. Okay. Right, we're just going to look at a couple of oracles for you now, Aries. Let's see, what do we have for the month of October? Dominance. Okay, we'll see how that wants to play into the extended read. And then I'm using the Time Traveler oracles. Just feel at this time of year, as the veil is so thin and the way we're moving through dimensions, a lot of astral travel, lucid dreaming happening. Let's see what we have here. You have got purification. The Ganges River in India is the destination. Okay, let's leave it there. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you'll join me on the extended. Have a beautiful month of October. Go check my Life Soul Vision journal out over on the website, and I will see you again next month. Bye for now.